Hey guys, what is up? This is Cody or xCodeh. How you guys doing today? So this is the season finale for the life stories, and it's not done yet, guys. I'm still gonna have a lot of life stories in the future, so don't you worry. This is just a recap video, season finale for all of the past life stories that have been throughout my channel for the past, year and a half. I had a video said good news and bad news, saying that you guys leave a comment in the comment section below with your favorite life story, and I got a bunch of them on a notepad right here, and I apologize in advance if, I'm not going to remember these stories 100% accurately, because I am kind of high right now, and, my memory's not the best, so I'll try and do as best as I can, and I'm going to have a lot of fun making this video, so I hope you guys do enjoy this video, and this is going to be quite a long video, so I'd really, really appreciate it if you would smash that like button, add it to your favorites, and subscribe for more. So without further ado, I thought I would start off with this life story season finale with one of the stories that really brought my channel up. This is really the one video that actually got my channel out there, and this is when I started getting subscribers, likes, things like that. And then I'm talking, of course, the first time smoking weed, so here we go. The first time smoking weed happened when I was in 8th grade, and I remember it to this day. It was the last day of 8th grade, and I actually forgot to put this part in, because, I don't know, I think I was just trying to tell the story back then, but I actually got my first Modern Warfare 2 nuke on the last day of 8th grade, so it was a pretty good day. I ended up smoking weed for the first time. So, after school comes around, and I had bought in this weed previously, I think like a couple days before, so I already had it. I think I gave it to my buddy to hold in school, so we went to this, this like rock area down this path in the middle of our town, and it was pretty secluded in the woods. We were chilling on this rock, and I had absolutely no experience with weed, so I had no idea of what it did, how it affected you, how it felt the first time, or even any time. So me and my friends, we all packed a tin can, I think. My friend started hitting it. He started to get really high. Like his eyes immediately got red, and he was like, "Oh, dude, I'm so high, man." And I'm sitting there. I took a couple hits, and I didn't feel anything. And I immediately was like, "All right, so what's up with this? Maybe I just got to do more. Maybe I just got to keep smoking." So I keep smoking, and to my surprise, I really didn't feel anything. And then I stood up. And if you guys seen my first time smoking video, I described it perfectly. It was literally like someone hit me in the face with a brick, and I was just immediately so stoned. And I just remember that everything looked so kind of like tunnel vision-y and just so like saturated and amazing. It almost looked like I was literally in a dream or something. It was really cool, and I'll always remember this one part of the story. I was fucking around with one of our friends, who's actually the redneck person I talk about in a lot of my commentary stories. So I was fucking around with him, and he actually kneed me in the nuts, and I fell down, and I remember looking up at the moon, and because it was a clear day, so you could see the moon, and I swear to you, I blinked my eyes 3 times, and like the sun came up, the moon came down, the sun came up, the moon came down 3 times, and I thought 3 days went by. I'm not even kidding you guys. This is probably like the most, hallucinogenic experience I've ever had from weed. A lot of people say they like to trip on weed and stuff, but it's never really happened to me. Maybe this once. So my friends come back, and I'm like, "Yo, where have you guys been? It's been 3 days." I was so gone. And they're like, "Dude, it's been 5 minutes." So then we go to this pizza shop, and this is where the story really, was on the first time smoking weed video. So I get to this pizza shop, and I get a phone call from my dad, so I had to go outside while my friends went inside to go get the pizza. So I'm talking to my dad, and I think the conversation went well. Everything was good. He had no suspicion at all. I'm not going to edit out the mess up, so I apologize in advance, guys. But, so, my friends are in the pizza shop, and I immediately try and go back into the pizza shop. And keep in mind, guys, I'm in public, right across the street from a police station, sketching the fuck out, because I was just so gone, and I thought everybody was, like, looking at me and stuff. I try and go back into this pizza shop. The door is a push door, and I kept trying to pull it, and I literally just couldn't think of in my mind to push it. So It was either a pull or a push. I'm not exactly sure. I was doing the opposite of what it was. So, whatever it was, I was doing the wrong thing, trying to pull the door when it was a push or something. And I honestly thought they locked me out. I was getting so paranoid. And then I sat down and started blowing up my friend's phone and just completely freaking out. And they actually ended up, coming and get me after a minute for some reason. I think they honestly were trying to finish the pizza before I got in there. Motherfuckers. But anyways. So that was really my first time smoking weed. So that comment was suggested by Mr. Slimy Duck. So thanks, bro. Okay, so the second story I have to tell on the season finale of the life stories is actually by my friend Mark. I honestly forgot. I think it's like X Emotions X or something like that. I forgot what your actual username is, but that's my friend Mark in real life. So what's up, bro? The time that the redneck with the bees incident, I'm not exactly sure of what the commentary title is. All of these links are going to be in the description, so remind me if I forget to do that, but I doubt I will. So this was the time that me and my buddies were walking through the tobacco fields in my town, and I think we were trying to go and try and find a place to smoke. We were trying to have just a place where we weren't going to get caught, because this was back in the day. I think I was around like 13 or 14, so we were all pretty young. And of course, none of us wanted to get arrested, so we always had a bunch of chill-ass spots in the tobacco field. So we were going to this one, and we were getting led by this redneck, and then Redneck Supreme. And I say Redneck Supreme because he was rocking full-on cowboy boots, cowboy hat, whole can of dip in his mouth. Like, walking around like, yeah, I'm gonna throw this knife at the tree. I remember that to this day, he tried to bet us money that he could throw the knife in the tree and then go and get it within like 20 seconds or something. It was so weird and stupid. But so we're walking through this tobacco field, and so this kid, he's leading us, and I somebody told me the story because I wasn't next to him, thankfully. I was in the back with my buddy, and apparently he was like, oh, there's a bee's nest. And then he literally took his cowboy boot and stomped an underground bee's nest. And so bees started swarming out, and me and my friend immediately book shit. We drop our bike and our skateboard, we book shit. Like, we just dip out, and every single person got stung, except me and my buddy, and the person who kicked it in actually ended up getting stung all over their body, and apparently they took off all their clothes running through the tobacco fields naked, getting stung on each and every part of his body, and apparently it actually ended up getting stung on his dick, so that was probably very, very problematic for him, so, okay, so that's basically the end of that story. It was pretty crazy. I'm trying to do these as quick as possible because I don't want to take an hour and a half or something like that. I'm doing as many stories as I can at the moment. I might even make a part 2 so I can add some more at the end because I want this to be something special. But anyways, Crypto Hawk, Dime Bags, and Beginner Munchies. This is probably one of the funniest stories I have to tell on my channel ever. Okay, I loved this one so much. So, this took place, all of my stories pretty much took place when I was like a freshman or a sophomore, so the age is probably around the same. I might have been like 13, 14 at the time, and I was a very, very inexperienced pot smoker. This was probably the 4th or 5th time I ever smoked, and I go over to my buddy's house to sleep over one time, and I guess he didn't tell his mom about it immediately, so, we used to go into a pattern of, no, you can't sleep over, and he'd just be like, fuck off, Mom, they're sleeping over, and, it would be okay. So I went over there, and I think we picked up like a dub or a dime or something like that. It was a dime bag, I remember. I went over with my one other buddy, and we were all sleeping over, and I think his mom got us to this understanding that we could sleep over if we did not touch the rotisserie chicken in the refrigerator. And we all agreed to it. I didn't think it was a problem. Nobody thought it was a problem. So we ended up going downstairs in the basement, packing my buddy's like crack pipe looking bowl or something, his little pipe, his little metal pipe. And we smoked like 3 bowl packs. And I never remember being this high in my life. Like, this is probably one of the highest I've ever been in my life. I was just giggling and laughing at everything. And eventually we went back up to my buddy's room. I think we ended up smoking even more up there. And we're chilling, and we all get the munchies. And my buddy that lives there, he goes and grabs a bowl of cereal, a bowl of ramen, like, a bunch of stuff, and just starts eating it all in front of us. And me and my friend are just sitting there like, oh, damn, I want some food right now. And then he's like, wait a minute, you guys want some food? And because I don't know, I guess he forgot to ask or something, or I don't know, he's trying to be nice at this point. So he goes into the kitchen. He's like, all right, guys, I'll be right back. He goes into the kitchen, comes back with this rotisserie chicken. Not microwaved, not heated up, nothing, just a cold rotisserie chicken. And I'm like, dude, didn't your mom say not to eat that? And he's just like, dude, it's time. Or so, I forgot exactly what he said. He said something super funny. He was just like, it's time to eat the chicken. Or so he said something hilarious. And we literally demolished that rotisserie chicken, probably within 5 minutes without forks or knives. So bare hands, just Bear Grylls style, straight up, and just destroyed the rotisserie chicken. And his mom was so pissed. But I think we ended up leaving before she woke up, so it ended up working out. But that was a pretty funny story. Good one, CryptoHawk. SkyCry321. This is actually one of another favorite commentary of mine. This is driving in your school's golf cart. Or smoking weed in my school's golf cart. Okay, so this is by far probably the craziest thing I've ever done in my entire life. And I really suggest you guys to go see that commentary, because I'm probably going to leave out a few details, because this was quite a long time ago. So I was a sophomore in high school when this happened, and this was back when we had this huge October storm in Connecticut, and all of the power was out for like the entire state, and we had no heat at my house, and it was really, really fucking cold. And the local high school that I go to was actually a homeless shelter for people that didn't have heat or food, things like that. So pretty much the whole town was in there, and we were sleeping over there one night, and I was with a bunch of my friends because we all decided to meet up, and we ended up getting weed earlier that day, so we were all set, having a good time, smoking, because all the cameras were off, guys, keep that in mind. So all the cameras are off, so we were doing things that, we never even imagined of doing. We were smoking weed outside on the main entrance to the school. It was just funny. So one of these nights, okay, I think it was like the third night we stayed there or something, we were going through, I don't know, my friend wanted to go through her classroom because he was looking for like candy in this one teacher's like desk or something. So I went in there immediately. I wasn't into that. I think I was either waiting outside or just, not trying to be involved, because obviously that's pretty ridiculous. That's almost, I think it's what, breaking and entering, I don't know what it is, but so my friends, they go in there, and I actually ended up walking in and looking on the desk, just chilling while they're looking through the freaking thing for the candy bag. And I see this key, or I find this key in a desk or something like that. We found the key, and I'm like, wait a minute. What is this key to? Like, it's a smaller key. It's almost looks like something to, like, one of those little small, like, lock boxes or something like that. And I guess my buddy he put it in his pocket. He just kept it. So we didn't really think anything of it at the time. And, the night progressed, and we ended up, splitting up. It was just me and two other buddies, and we were actually sitting down in the hallway rolling a couple joints. And we decided to go outside and try to find a spot to smoke, because obviously we're not smoking in the school. That's just way, way over the line. Because keep in mind, guys, there was police officers roaming the school. It was kind of sketchy, but, good times, good times. So we ended up going outside around this, like, railing area of my school, where they actually keep the golf cart. And we're sitting there, and we actually were planning on just sitting at the golf cart and smoking, because it was actually the security guard's golf cart, so that would have just been cool in itself. And I remember, oh shit, we have this key, let's see if it works. My friend puts it in, and I'm like, there's no way. And I'm like, oh my gosh. It was so funny. So we all get on this golf cart, we go into the parking lot, start doing donuts, light the J, start burn riding on the security guard's golf cart, and just having the time of our lives. And then shit gets real, guys. I see a police officer come out of the main entrance, which is right in front of the parking lot we're in, with a flashlight, like she's looking for something. And immediately we turn it off, throw the keys into the track field, and end up having to go get it in the snow. It was really ridiculous how we found it. But we literally were like hiding in the track field for her to go back inside, and everything ended up working out in the end, so it was pretty cool. So we ended up just putting the golf cart back, and it was just a great story to tell. That is probably one of the craziest stories I'll ever have to tell on my channel. So good one, SkyCry321. Okay. Matthew Gomez, parents find your weed. Okay, so this is actually my most successful video, as in views. The most likes I've ever gotten was on First Time Blowjob. But the most successful one was around, 70,000 views. That is just fucking amazing, guys. Thank you so much for that. So parents find my weed. This happened, I think I was maybe a junior in high school. I think this was actually a little bit later on, because me and my buddy were saving up a bunch of money, and I think we had around a half ounce, and me and him were kind of sharing it because I think it was around the summertime, so he was staying over my house, I was staying over his, and so we had all our weed together, and I think we actually had it bagged out individually, so we'd only smoke 1 gram a day, because we were really, really trying to conserve our usage and all that, because we honestly were just blowing through weed and money, and it was just not a good time, so we had it all backed out, and it looks pretty sketchy, I gotta say, so one day, me and my buddy come to my house. I think we were coming home from a friend's house or something, and I had left all my weed at home. So I get home, and immediately my dad comes in my room after we get on the computer and the Xbox and all that, and he comes in, he's like, "So, I know about your chest." Like where I used to keep all my weed, and immediately my friend just looks at me and just starts smiling, and I'm like, "Oh, good way to play it off, bro." And I'm like, "What are you talking about, Dad?" And he's like, "Oh, I know what's in there." And he immediately wanted us to get it out of the house. And I just remember his reaction. He was just so mad. He was freaking out. And so what me and my buddy ended up doing, it was so funny. We ended up taking the weed. I got all the weed out of the box, and I remember like taking one of the dubs, one of the grams, putting it under my pillow or something, and no, what I did, I put all of the weed under my pillow, took one of the dubs out, we went outside and smoked it all, and then we came back inside and said we got rid of it, and it was the end of it, and he was just so bad, he was so mad, he made him go home, that was just a whole bad time, but that was actually a really funny story. I'm actually not remembering too many details about that one, so if you guys want to hear these stories in detail, you can always go to the links in the description, so let's keep going. Getting picked up by my mom high, Anne Bradley. That's a good one. All right, so this was actually one of the first times I ever smoked. This was actually the first time I smoked Trainwreck. It was one of my favorite weeds I've ever smoked in my life. Just like the craziest high I've ever had. So here we go. I was at my buddy's house, and this was actually after I've gotten like in-school suspension or like a detention I didn't go to or something along those lines. So I think I was just about to get off grounding or something, and so I decided to just go on my buddy's bus instead of mine and go to my friend's house. And immediately my dad called me and said, "You couldn't do that, you got to come home," all that jazz. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to try to smoke just before my dad comes get me, because I want to get high before I go home, because, I had been at home for a minute, I haven't smoked weed, and I was, I wanted to get high. So me and my buddy, quickly, me and 2 other buddies go into my buddy's car in his garage, and just hotboxed the shit out of it. I remember my friend pulling a prank on me. He was like, "Dude, the door doesn't work. We can't get out." And I was honestly paranoid because I was getting picked up, and it was just a bad day at the moment. So I'm like, "Dude, are you serious? I have to go. Like, holy shit." And he's just like, "Nah, dude, I'm just kidding." It was funny. But so I ended up getting so ridiculously high, having to pass up hitting my friend's bong that ended up breaking after that day, so I never got to. It was pretty shitty. So I'm walking down this street, and it ended up my mom actually had to come and get me. So I was so paranoid because she didn't even know I smoked weed at this point. And so she calls me and she's like, "Yeah, what street are you on? I'm coming to get you." And I told her I was here, and here. And then she's like, "I'm on my way." So 5 minutes go by, she's there, and I remember like just looking at the car, just like, oh shit, I am so high right now. I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna pull this one off. And I remember she pulled over, I got in the car, and immediately it was like, "Yeah, I'm going to sleep. I had a bad day. Just closed my eyes." And I don't know if I pulled it off, guys. I have no idea if she even knew. But I remember she had to stop at Ocean State Job Lot before she dropped me off at home. And I remember she was out of the car, and I remember looking in the mirror to the what do you call it, the sun visor, and I remember looking at my eyes, and I've never had red eyes so bad in my entire life, guys. Like, it was literally just like the red on a Coca-Cola can was my entire eye and a pupil. That's all it was. It was so bad. And I remember closing my eyes and just seeing like patterns and colors and stuff. Not tripping, just like closed eyes. When the first couple experiences with weed, you have like these crazy thoughts, and it just, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it definitely was not hallucinations, but just to clarify that. So, good story. I remember stumbling up my stairs after I got picked up, and my mom like looked in my eyes, and I don't know to this day if she knew, but without further ado, let's keep going. Nick Gorman, highest you have ever been. I have retold this story actually once, but I'll retell it again briefly. I'll try not to go into too much detail, but this is actually a really good story of mine. So this is actually a time that I greened out. It was too high, and then I retold it as the highest I've ever been. This happened when I was a freshman in high school, and this was, I think, one of the first time I have smoked weed. It's funny that, like, almost every one of the stories is one of the first times. And I say that because I had a really, really low tolerance back then. Like, I would take 2 hits and be done. And so we ended up, me and a bunch of friends after school, we ended up meeting up with a friend that had a bunch of shitty weed. It came from, like, a really shitty part of my town, and it was just notorious for being absolutely terrible. So we smoked, like, a bowl of that. I didn't really feel anything. I felt a little lifted, nothing really at all. And so we ended up, the day progressed, and we went over to this bus station to meet this other friend that I think she was on break, she'd just gotten out, something like that. We met up with her, and she said that she had some dank weed, and I remember smelling that shit before she even, like, took it out. I was like, damn, that smells good. And so we all crowd around in this circle. It was pretty cold. We had, like, umbrellas out, and then we ended up going to this bus stop that had a cover, so it was pretty cool. We were just chilling in the bus stop, smoking weed and stuff. It was pretty funny. And I remember there was a bunch of, like, seniors and juniors, and I was, like, I actually think I was, like, a sophomore or a freshman. I was pretty young. I'm not exactly sure of what I said before, but I think I was a freshman or a sophomore. And these were like juniors and seniors, so I guess I was trying to be the cool cat. Oh, nice voice cry. Cool cat. And, do some smoke tricks. I was doing ghost inhales, blowing smoke rings, taking really, really big hits. And that's where I went wrong, I guess. I don't know what happened, but immediately after I took those hits, I remember just feeling overwhelmingly stoned, like someone poured a pile of bricks on top of my head. Like, it was pretty ridiculous. And I remember getting this immense wave of nausea for some reason. I didn't get sick, I never got sick, but I just felt really sick for a second, so I was like, alright, I need to sit down for a second. In a moment, my ass hit that seat. I remember saying that twice in the commentary. The moment that happened, immediately the nausea got worse, and I just started this horrible thought process of, am I gonna throw up? Am I gonna throw up? Because I have a phobia of throwing up, so you can obviously tell how that wouldn't go over well. The whole time my friends were like, you okay, man? You're looking pretty pale. And that's where it really set me off. And I was just, thinking way too hard. And, hours went by. My friends came back. Are you okay, dude? Like, that was fine. I just really didn't want to talk to anybody. I was just waiting for the high to wear off just so I could go home, call my dad, and be okay. But the high actually never it did wear off, but it took so long. And I remember the best part about this was looking up at the trees, because it was mid-fall, and the trees had this almost Rastafarian red, yellow, and green look to it, and it almost looked like there was a flag in the trees that was, like, waving in the wind. I'll remember that to this day. It was really, really cool. But besides the nausea, it was a pretty good experience, but I really, really didn't like it because I was in public. I was freaking out about my dad finding out, and 8:30 comes by. My dad starts blowing my phone up saying he's going to call the cops if I don't, pick up the phone. So I ended up doing it. He comes down, picks me up. He's all disappointed because I had to call him. I was like, I'm high, Dad. And he's like, I knew you would do something like this. I'm so disappointed. And he gave me that whole speech, and I got in the car. And I know a lot of you actually told me that he handled this pretty well and that he's pretty chill for this story. But I have to reverb this and tell you guys that he was pretty mad. He was very pissed. And the reason I'm saying that is because, he actually made me this huge-ass dinner. But regardless of how mad my dad is, he always likes to feed me or make me food and stuff. So that's pretty cool. But he was very mad, so keep that in mind, guys. He was very, very, very mad at that point. But yes, he actually did end up making me this dinner, and I remember eating it and feeling so much better and just having the best sleep of my night. Best sleep of my life. So here we go. Pritters187, Baked on Bikes. That was actually one of my personal favorites as well. This is actually one of my recent commentaries that I've made, but I'll retell it again because it actually got a decent amount of likes. So here we go. So this story takes place, I actually don't even know how old I was. I think I was around 14 or 15, back when I used to do crazy shit, all my stories take place back when I used to do crazy stuff. And I remember I was chilling with like 3 or 4 other buddies, and we were smoking weed all day. I think we were just having a great time. And the day turned to night, and we had to figure out what we were doing. The plan was we were going to go back to my friend's house, and we were currently at another friend's house that was like, there was 2 different ways to get to like where our destination was. We could have taken the road, which I ended up actually doing, or you could walk through this sketchy ass tobacco fields with, coyotes and, I don't know what else, wildlife and animals and stuff you don't want to deal with at night. And I had a bike, my friend had a bike, so why would we want to bike through dirt? And, that would have just